Hi everybody, it's Matthew here from Bead Spider. How are we all doing today? It's time for a bit more beading fun. So if you were sitting there watching the little ticker waiting for the show to start, you will have seen that I'm going to be showing you how to make a little beaded box. So I'm making this out of Preciosa twin beads. There's Preciosa Precision twins, and then there's Preciosa normal twins. It doesn't matter which one either, really. I'm going to be making it out of those, but essentially it's a really fun little design. It doesn't take too long, and it looks it's a lot of fun. It's usable. You can sort of change the shape if you wanted to make it into like a phone cover or make a bigger box or a smaller box, but the gist of what I'm going to show you is lots and lots of fun. So this is a design by Preciosa. I think Helena Chemlikova was the original designer with which we are sort of using this one, but essentially it's going to be We've adapted it, we've changed it, we've made some differences. But anyway, I will show you very quickly the sort of the sort of gist of what we're going to make. Unfortunately, I just realized, no, I do have everything. Okay, good. Right. Here we are. So, we're going to make ourselves, actually, I should show you with this one here. We're going to make ourselves this lovely little beaded box. As you can see, you're going to create this one. I'm going to tell you about this one, why it looks a bit floppy in a bit. But basically, I'm going to show you how to make this base structure. I'm going to show you how to do even count peyote, which this is made from. And I'm going to show you how to do odd count peyote with twin beads. So there's lots to learn, even count, odd count, and also this really cool base structure piece. But I've got some tips and tricks and all sorts of different things that I'm going to show you over the course of the video to get your design looking perfect. So the first thing I'll tell you, as you can see how the top is a little bit floppy? Well, the one that we're going to be making today, you'll soon see, it's going to be much, much stiffer, and it's actually really easy to fix. This is the first one I made, which was my little prototype test, and from that I've sort of developed a way to make it ultra, ultra stiff, really, really firm, looking fantastic. So basically, my pieces that we need to make, just here, we've got this little piece just here, which is our base sort of structure-y bit, the center of our lid. We've got our little bottom piece, because I'm going to show you the assembly as well. This is going to be our even count peyote, like walls of our box. And then, of course, we've also got these two little pieces here, which are the sides of our lid. So these ones make the lid, these two make the base. I'm going to show you the techniques for this to start with because it's nice and easy. Then once we've got that, we're going to kind of level up, if you will, to the next technique, which is this one just here. And I've just realized I need my thread. Where have I put my thread spool? It's hiding. I need a nice dark color thread, I think. Hopefully I've got one. Wait, no, I don't have one. I'll just have to grab one in just a second. But anyway, so yeah, I'm going to show you, there's 4 different colors of kit. If you want to make this yourself, we've called it our our little box kit that we've got here. Essentially, a House of Cards box kit is because each one of the different designs has a different symbol on the top from one of your playing card suits. So we've got the hearts, we've got the diamonds as well. We've also got the spade, as you can see here, and then there's the club as well. So lots and lots of different things if you want to get the kit that you can try. Hopefully this thread is dark enough. Does that show up on the camera really? Maybe not. Maybe if there's a darker thread, my lovely assistant Andrew just grabbed me some thread, but hopefully he'll get me a slightly darker one. But anyway, yeah, red will do. I'll take red.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, careful. Oh yeah, that's fine. Thank you very much. So, yeah, I'm going to be making from the black and white colorway kit, which is called Black Magic. There's 4 different colors to choose from. There's this is the Make Your Mauve. What a pun. This one here was Heart of Gold, unsurprisingly. And then this one is our Tempting Turquoise. And then the black and white one, which is the one I'm going to be making, was the Black Magic. So, first things first, even count peyote with the twin beads. Very, very simple actually. So it's not difficult at all. If you've done peyote stitch before, this is actually even easier really. It's a really nice, fun, simple process to do. So basically each one of the kits, we do include this little pattern, but I'm going to just show you it with like a, well, I could start with the pattern. I don't know. We'll see. But the edging, I will do it with the pattern after all. I will show you the sort of the basics of the technique. Now, as I was telling you, the difference, the way of getting a really solid box shape. So if you have a look at this one, see how it's lovely and firm, a really nice solid box shape, compared to this one, which is firm but a little bit loose. There's a very simple way, same as the side pieces and all that, there's a very simple way to get yourself a really lovely, firm, strong tension. So the easiest, simplest way to do that is by using double thread. So instead of just using like a single thread to do this, you would actually use your needle in the middle of your thread. Use a nice big long piece. You'd be able to do the whole thing, this sort of thing here, with maybe 4 meters of thread, which you would fold in half. But anyway, I'm going to use a slightly smaller piece. As I said, I've got this. Hopefully this shows up on the camera. Yeah, there we go. That looks good to me. I'll be using this color. Obviously, if you're getting our kit or you want to make it yourself, you would want to use a color that matches a little bit better to the color of your beads. So you wouldn't really necessarily use brown for this little design here if you were doing a black and white one, but I want you guys at home to be able to see it. So I've got myself a nice decent length of thread here. Whatever's comfortable for you, essentially double that. So if you find that working with a meter of thread at a maximum is the best for you, use 2 meters. If you find that you've got big long arms and you're quite tall and 2 meters is good for you, then cut a piece that is 4 meters long. So essentially double what you would consider a nice comfortable working length. I personally, for myself, find about 1.5 meters to be quite good. So 3 meters in total would be quite easy to use. But basically what we're going to do is grab ourselves a nice simple little piece. Let me just get my comments up. I haven't seen any of my comments yet. Yes, here we go. Have we got many people commenting in? Yes, we do. Lots of comments, which is fantastic. Mainly over on YouTube. I want the comments to come in from Facebook as well. I see we've got a few. Marlene is here from Houston. I'll do some quick hellos just before we get started. So welcome to Marlene. She says it's a beautiful project. Stacy says hello everyone. We've got Kay who's here. She's asking how everybody's doing. I wonder, is Barb here? She said she woke up super duper early to set a reminder for my stream and is hoping to come back in time. So Barb, if you made it back, very well done. But if you're still asleep, no problem. Yeah, lots and lots of people here. Marissa, Karen, Michaela from Nebraska. We've got Yvette Cordova as well. Rhonda is here from Australia. Who else have we got? Stacy, as I said, Kay. Lots and lots of people chatting away, which is lovely. We've got Denise, who's here. Thanks for joining us, Denise. And Diane. She says, I love the box, says Diane. And then we've also got Irina from Croatia as well. Okay, so let's begin, shall we? So first things first, I've got myself a standard beading needle, a well-loved one. You can see it's a little bit bent from use, but that's all fine. So basically, we're going to thread our needle right to the middle of our thread. So just thread it on your needle, but find the 2 ends of your thread. So bring the 2 ends together. See, look, here's end number 1, end number 2. Bring them together. Oops, just pick up my thread there. There we go. So that my 2 threads are together. And then I'm going to just slide this needle along until I am nicely in the center of my thread. So there we go, nicely in the middle. So whatever is a comfortable length for you, that's the size to use. So there we go, just already, perfect. So yeah, once we've got our little piece just here like this, we can begin. So we need to use a little stopper bead. There is another trick that you can use, but will I show that one? What do we think? Let's just grab myself out some of my little beads. So like I said, I'm using the black and white. So that means I'll be using this lovely matted white twin bead, which if you don't know what twin beads are, they're very similar to super duos. They're a little bit more cost effective. You get a bit more bang for your buck than you do with super duos, but these ones are lovely, lovely, gorgeous quality. These are the white that I'm going to be using, and I'm going to be pairing them up with this lovely matte black color as well. So where is it? There we go. There's our lovely matte black. Now, of course, as with all 2-hole beads, it is important that you check the holes of your beads to make sure that they are both free, because these beads are pressed. There can get glass into the little gap where the hole would be, so you want to be careful just to check them as you go to use them. They've both got their little beads there. So essentially, I'm going to grab myself a little stopper bead. There's 2 options. You can either use a stopper bead, or what you can do is create yourself using one of your little end beads as your stopper. But basically, this is the pattern that we'll be working from. And where we start is either down here, or if we rotate it round, so more or less where it's sticking out from here, this is where we would begin. So to make this central strip, I'm going to make a thin one just so that it can be a little bit quicker. So I'll maybe make a half size one in the even count or something. But just to make it, maybe I'll just do this mini little piece like this, just to make the demonstration a bit quicker, to show you. But obviously, if you wanted to do the full size thing, this is it here, where you've got the 2 stripes, then the 1 stripe, the 2 stripe, and the 1 stripe. The reason the pattern looks like this is so that it's seamless when we make it into our box. I will explain how you can sort of adapt the size and shape to be exactly the size and shape that works best for you, but I'll get to that a bit later on, not just yet. So make sure I don't forget. Remind me later on. Speaking of remind me of things, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, all of that sort of jazz. You know the deal by now. If you've never seen the streams before, by the way, do jump on and you know, check out the links in the description. There's lots of good things going on in there. For example, here we are. I'll just put a little ticker up for you guys at the bottom that you can give a read while I give myself a nice little stopper bead here. So option 1 is that you put the stopper bead onto your thread, but you don't have to do that. I will use one anyway, but I'm going to show you sort of both techniques at once. So leave yourself a nice tail of thread. Like I've said, I'm using double the thread. The good thing about using double thread as well is when you're doing a stopper, you've only got to really go through it the once, and that gets it pretty secure. It doesn't really want to come off after that too much. It slides down a little, but not so much. But anyway, if I'm going to create this little piece, essentially to make my design, I'm going to go with 6 little beads. So 1, 2, actually, I'll show you. This is the other way. If you don't want to use a stopper, I kind of like doing both, but you don't have to, is to use this last little twin bead as a stopper as well. So if you go through this, we're coming out of this side here, just go down into that little bead, and then back up the other side. So essentially we're going around the houses, as it were, around the bead, and then we can push that against our work, and that's going to make that a little bit tighter as well. See, there we go. So just to do your even count, obviously you would follow your pattern, and why it's called even count is because there's an even number of little beads that you would be using when you create this. So if I show you, we'll go 1, 2, 3 of my white color. Just let that pop down, and then I'll go 1, 2, 3 of my black color. So there you go. There are the 6 little beads sitting right there. See that? Well, I'll do a few more. just to make it a little bit bigger. Because obviously you can make this as large as you want or as small. So, but you have to make sure you do have an even number of beads. So if I have a quick look, how many have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I'm going to need one more bead, which I'll use another white one. So like I said, I've just done like a mini version. I'll get rid of that ticker. A mini version of my piece here. So there's 10 little twin beads just there. You can, if you want to, wax this thread, because if we're using double the thread, there is a little bit... wait, where are we? Yeah, if you're using double thread, because they can separate, you can wax them to get them. But if you don't like using double thread, there is another way. Use single thread. I'll tell you it a bit later, but use single thread and then you just go through all the beads again towards the end. So anyway, now that what I'm going to do, I've got my even number of beads, and the best thing ever is you just go straight down the opposite side of your very last bead. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 little beads. Now, as with normal peyote, every single time we're going to be skipping a bead and passing into the next one. So if I just get that roughly in position, you can see one bead needs to go in one direction and the other bead will go into the other direction altogether. So let me just pull my thread nice and tight, get it against my stopper again, and then I'll continue. Here we go. It's easier once you've got one extra bead in. So if I just wrap that one over, see that? See how they're sitting, one going that way and the other going the other way? If I just pick up one bead and go into this one just here, this gives me something to grip onto, and now I can pull it tight against this. So there we go. So just get that nice and firm, pull everything up, pull up my stopper bead as well. There we go. Now I've got things to pull against. So see that? This is going to be the start of our little design here. So now if I sit one in one direction, and I'm going to skip a bead and pass into the next one. So just zoom in a teeny bit more. I'll pick up one black bead, skip this bead here, and jump into the second hole of the next one. Pull that tight. By the way, if you're getting the kit, we are doing a discount at the minute that if you get any 2 or more, I just realized I used the wrong bead. Oh, actually, it doesn't matter right now. I'll just change the direction of my stripes. So there we go. Actually, no, I do need to take it out. I will do it the other color just to follow my pattern, get it looking right. There we go. Was too busy thinking about which bead is next and where I'm going to be thinking about my pattern. But yeah, so to get that stripe happening, let's go down into this bead here. There we go. So every second bead, we're going to skip a bead, add a bead, skip a bead, add a bead, skip a bead, and it's going to give us this lovely shape here. So now to fill the next gap, I'm going to pick up a bead. Wait, I'll just turn up the brightness a teeny bit if I can. There we go. Hopefully that's a bit better for you. Pass into the second hole of the next bead. So these are precision twins. You can use super duos if you prefer, but I think you get better bang for your buck with the precision twins than you do with the super duos. These are a little bit more cost effective. So here we go. Now I'll do my next bead. Go into there. So we're always going into that second hole until we get to the very, very end. So see that? We've got ourselves all the way back, and if you have a look, this is row 1, this is row 2, row 3, so forth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 little beads. Now we need to be coming back, which means there's 5 beads in each row. See, look, this is row 1, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. This is row 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. So far, we've only got 4, but you can't see a spot where you can add a bead, right? Well, the easy thing about this is that you just sort of attach them to themselves. So it works really, really easy if you do this. All you've got to do is just pick up the color you'll be using next, slide it down into position, like so. See, now it's going to sit nicely beside our very last bead. Pinch it in here to get your tension firm. Come back down this bead here. And now we'll add our next bead in the pattern. If we have a look, I've got a black stripe this way, a white stripe this way. So to continue this stripe, it means I'm going to need a black bead. I'm going to go into there and then just fill the gaps on all the others. So see that? We're all the way there. Very, very easy to just sort of continue along. I'll do another black bead. Welcome to Linda. She says, I haven't seen you guys live for a while, but lovely to see you. She says, thanks for explaining every step by step, every way. She's from Wisconsin, she says. So yeah, now we'll continue again. See, there's a nice little gap in there. So if I pick up a white bead, we'll fill that gap. Pull tight. Pick up another white bead. Fill this gap here. There we go. There we are. And now, obviously, if I was going to continue with the stripe pattern, the same stripe pattern, because I've got 2 rows of black, 2 rows of white, it's time for a black bead. And we're going to do the exact same turnaround. So it's really simple. I'll put it into right-hand view in just a second to show you this turnaround after this one. I'll do the next one in right-hand view. So we're going to slide this bead down and then just pass back into the second hole of that bead. And then if I just pull my thread through, we don't want to pull it all the way tight. It becomes easier if you do it a little bit later. So I'll grab my next bead, which is going to, actually, I will pull it tight just so that you can get the gist a bit better. Hold that bead. It's a little more difficult to get it tight if you don't have that extra bead. But there, when you pull that tight, see it's a little bit loose just here. It will tighten in a second, but you can see it's going to sit just there. So we pick up our next bead and we go into that outer hole of the next little one below. And then we've got something to pull against. So see that? I can now hold this in my index and thumb and just tug on my thread. And you can see it pulls it much, much tighter. You want to have a nice, good, firm tension if you can. But like I said, if you aren't so good with a firm tension, this is why we're doing double thread. There is other ways, though, which I will talk about later, as promised. So just try and keep a nice, firm thread so that you've got lovely, tight work. It doesn't matter if this first few rows gets a little loose, because see how it's like slid away from the stopper bead a bit? You can slide the stopper back up, but we're going to tighten that later anyway when we get to the end. And now I'll pop it into right-hand view for you all, so that you can see how I've done it in right hand for all of you right-handers. Where's my mouse? Here we go. Pop that there. So there. So now I'll do it in right-hand view. Where am I? I'll just put my materials that I'm using as well, just in case you're wondering what materials I'm using. I've just popped that up at the bottom, and I'll do this now as I continue. So I'll pick up my next little 2-hole bead. So I'm using a precision twin. I'm going to fill this little gap. There's a hole here, there's a second hole here. So I'm going to just fill the gap by passing into the next bead along. So we're skipping one, going into the next. Pull tight, and there we go. Do the next. And now you can see we've reached the end. We don't have anywhere to go. So we're going to do our turnaround, our basic turnaround, which is pick up one little bead of the color we need next. I'll slide it roughly into position. And then I'm going to go back down the same hole that I was going through this time, which is just there, the second hole of the same bead, and that pops that nicely into position. Grab my next bead, and then I will pop it into that gap. So here's my next little bead here. Fill that gap, and then after you've added this bead, this is the time to try and pull it all tight. So if you need to, you can pull on that little pair of beads, yank them back down, and then you've got it much firmer. So then you continue along like so. If it gets twisted a bit, you just got to position them if you need to. There we go. And we just keep going in this way. So obviously you would make this the full width to do your design. It doesn't actually matter how tall you make this one, because the width of this, the total width of this, is how tall your box will become. So nice and simple. It can be any size that you like, but it is definitely easier if you do this one in even count peyote because it's much quicker. So there we go. If we just add that one there, it's in position. We go down the second hole, pull all the way through, and we'll add our next bead into the gap. And now I've got something I can really pull against. Try not to let it get twisted, like so. And then I've got something I can pull against. So when I say pull against, I almost put pressure with my thumb on this little bead here, so that when I pull this, this is sort of pushing this against my beads in this direction, and the thread is pulling in the opposite way. So there you go. That gives you a nice firm tension. Grip it there to keep that tension firm, and then you can just continue with the next color bead. So then you can see we've got a 2 bead stripe and a 1 bead stripe, a 2 bead stripe and a 1 bead stripe. For this design to work, you need to do it so essentially, because we're making a square, it needs to be a number that is divisible by 4, which in this particular instance, this particular box that I'm making, it is going to be 28 rows in total. So I'll tell you a bit more about that later, but it needs to be the length. So if you count how many beads there are on the top and on the bottom, 1, 2, 3. Once you've got yourself a nice box length, it needs to be divisible by 4. So I'm doing 28, which is 7 divided by 4, and you'll soon see why. But in time, in a bit of time. So anyway, one last turnaround, get myself back into position, and then I'm going to jump over and I'll show you how we start odd count peyote. So just get that last bead in position. So that's your basics of doing even count peyote. Obviously, whatever size, thickness you want the height of your box to be. This one I've done just here is this sort of height. So if we have a look, when I say height, I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 little beads high. And if you count how many beads there are along the top here, this needs to be your number that's divisible by 4 so that it will attach to our base piece. So we're going to talk about that later, but for now, that's all we're talking about. So that's how you do your even count. You can see it's lovely and firm because I've been doing it with double thread, but if it's still not firm enough, you can always weave back through everything with an extra thread just to get it really, really tight, if you want to. So I'll finish off with that. I'm going to just cut this little thread so that I can use this needle again. But that's it for even count peyote. Once you've made this, essentially you'll go, ta-da, here's one I made earlier, and you'll end up with something like this. So this is our turquoise colorway, which uses a really gorgeous transparent matte frosted green color, and then this lovely blue goes with it as well. So there's the two just there. This is the other colorway, the jewel turquoise, which comes with the spade design. So now I'll show you how to do odd count. So again, you'd start with a similar sort of amount of thread. It doesn't need to be, if you're doing this piece here, because this piece is in odd count peyote, these pieces are also in odd count peyote. Now, what does odd count peyote mean? So essentially, if you have a look, you know how I showed you with this one? This has an even number of rows. So if we count the beads in the thing here, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 16 even number, right? So that way you don't have to do any funny turns. It's nice and simple. With this one here, though, for example, if you have a look, it's an odd number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So this is why it's called odd count, because we have an odd number of beads in our row. So the start is very, very similar. It's not particularly different at all, but it does change after a little bit. So basically, again, we're going to grab ourselves our thread, use a nice comfortable length, doesn't need to be too long, doesn't need to be too short, just whatever's easy for you, and then we'll double it over once again just to give us that extra firmness. So where's my thread? Here we go. So yeah, with that extra bit of firmness, it's definitely much easier. I'm just going to use a stopper bead. I won't bother doing the little wrap around this time. Actually, maybe I will, just because it's easy. So again, I'll use a green bead as my stopper. Slide it almost to the end. Oh, I didn't put it in the middle. That's why I was thinking, where's the second thread? So obviously, again, we want to put the two ends together. Pull my needle to the middle. I tell you, once you put this thread down on the table, it is so thin that it's difficult to pick back up. I need to slide it to the edge. So here we go. Pull my needle to the middle of my thread. There we go. Get my stopper. So this is going to be odd count. We've done even count. Now we're doing odd count. So again, grab a little stopper. Just pass through here. I'm going to do all of this in just the one color because essentially when you're doing your top piece, you do start with just the one color at the top. See? It's all just one color at the beginning. So I'm going to just use one color, which my secondary color is white. So I'll just use white. I'll do an odd number. I'm not going to do the full amount. I'll just slide this down. I'll do my little wrap around to lock the bead in place as well. So down here, back. So see, you can see there's a tiny little bridge of thread there. And then back and through that second hold again. See? Pull that tight, slide it against the stopper. That's nice and firm, and that's going to give me something to attach to. So yeah, now I need to just continue along and make sure I'm using an odd number of beads. I'm going to do it much smaller than I would need to do on the larger piece. So maybe I'll do, I don't know, 8 or 9 beads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is why it's called odd count. We are using an odd number of beads. So if we check it out, everything is exactly the same so far. Okay? So nothing has changed, right? Now that we're at this point, we're going to do something a little different. Ready? So we only do this the very first time. I'm going to just do this just to get ourselves started. And then after that, we're going to change up how we do this. So I'm going to pick up one bead. So we're exiting this. This is the only time we're going to do this. We do it once at the beginning and once at the end to give us a turnaround. But essentially, we're going to pick up one bead and we're going to go from this bead here, pick up one bead and go down the second hole of that one. So the reason we only do this once is because it does actually give us, see that? A tiny little bridge of thread joining the two beads together. Personally, I don't think it's so, I think it's a little bit unsightly. I don't like seeing the thread between the beads so much. I think it's a bit messy. So personally, I don't like doing that. We only do it the way, my method. There is another method where you could just do that the whole way along, but I find it is much neater and you get a better tension as well if you do it this method I'm about to show you. So we've done the very first bead. We're now going to, again, fill the gaps. So I'll do it with a white bead again. Skip the first bead into the second. Don't forget, if you want to get this, it is a kit available on our website. Links in the description. So there we go. We've got our next one. So we're coming out of this bead. We're going to skip the first bead and pass into the second bead. So pick that up. And skipping the first bead, which is this, we're going to pass into the second one, which is here. Pull that tight there. And then same again. Put one in here. Fill that little gap. And as you can see, this is very much, so with an odd count, one side you do like an even count peyote turn, and the other you do like it's an odd count peyote turn. So it's going to seem a little confusing at first, but you will start to get it. So now that we're up here, we're going to do it as though it's our normal even count peyote turn. So we'll do our even count peyote turns on the side of the stopper bead, and we do our odd count turns on the side of this one over here. So pick up one bead, slide it down. I start working in my other color now. So I'll pick up a black one. I'll go down the second side of that bead, through there. Pick up my next bead, and I'm going to fill this gap. So the last twin bead that we added into the second hole of that one. So exactly like how we did the even count peyote. I'll just hold it nice and tight, pull everything tight. Once you've got those two beads, you've got something to pull against. Pull that tight. And there you go. So again, it's looking the same, isn't it? It's looking the same as our even count so far, but you'll soon see it's a little different. We're going to do it a bit different in a minute. So now we'll go through here. Pull that nice and tight. Do it again. Pull that nice and tight. Once more. Fill that little gap. Now, at this point, if you're feeling lazy and you don't care about the thread being between the beads, you can just add another bead and just go through here and continue on that way. It's quicker, it's easier, but it's not as neat as a finish. That's my thoughts. So it's up to you. If you want to do it that way, you can. You just pick up your next color bead and just pass straight down that next bead. That's how you could do the turn. It's quicker, it's easier. If you find this difficult, do it that way. But let me show you the better way. So we're going to go back now. We always want to go, so we don't get joins from one bead to the next. We always want to go through the other hole of the same bead. So if you have a look, I'm going to pass down, back into where we were, through 3 beads, because that's going to allow me to come back around and exit from this little black bead to be back in position to where we were. So if I go up here, pull that tight, I can turn around again. So we've kind of gone around, we've added this bead in, we're doing a little turnaround so that we can be coming out of this little black bead. See? So we'll come out of just that little black bead there. We pull that tight. And we're going to forget about this bead for now. We're going to add it a little bit later. So not just yet, we're going to add it later. So we're going to pretend like we're doing an even count turn. So we're coming out of this bead. It's like we're doing even count. Let's just, pass down that hole. Just there. And now I can work in even count until I get back here. You'll soon see where there's a potential issue, but I'm going to explain that to you again. So now we'll fill this gap. Plop that in there. We're working in even count for a second now. We're going towards our even count side. So like I said, our stopper bead is on this side. So it's going to be even count when we get to the end. An even count turn. So into there. Pull that tight. And now we're ready to do our even count turnaround. So pick up one bead. Slide it down. Pass, get your tail thread out the way, pass into that second hole, like so. Get my tail thread out the way. I tell you, it's misbehaving, this tail thread. There we go. Pull that down, and then we're going to add our next bead. So we're going to fill this gap here. And now I can use this to pull nice and tight. And I'm going to just continue with peyote until I get back to my odd count turn. The great thing is this is a very, very simple, easy method. The only thing you got to remember is how to do your odd count turn. If you've mastered the even count peyote, it's really easy to figure this out too. So now if you're looking at this, you're going, well, I need to come all the way up here. I'm missing too many beads. What am I going to do? How am I going to fix this? Well, it's really, really easy here if we pick up 2 beads. So we go 1 and 2. See that? So that's going to give us this nice little bit that's going to sit in this gap up here. 1 and 2. They're both going to fit nicely just there. Do you know what? I'm going to do it with white beads just so that you can see. I mean, it's going to look weird in my pattern, but it's just so you can see it a little bit easier. So if I go just here, you can see if I pull that down all the way, and now, much like I did before, I want to do a little turn around. I'm only going to go from one side of a bead to the other, but I'm going to go backwards. Much like how we did our little turn around here, I'm going to do that again. So I'm coming out of this, pass back down this hole here, down into this last little bead from the row previous, and the one following. So we're going down 2 beads just there. There you go. Pull that all the way through. Get our threads nicely in position. There we go. So that's kind of put us now. It's added those 2 beads in. And now we need to just continue back so that we're exiting from this bead here. So it's as though we're doing the even count peyote. Hi to Evelyn, by the way, who says, hello, beaders. Welcome, Evelyn. Who's new, by the way? Who's never been on my stream before? If you're here and you've never joined a Bead Spider stream before, comment in and say hello. I'd love to greet you, welcome you to our little community of beaders. So there you go. See, I've turned around now and I'm ready to, if you have a look, continue back in this direction as though it was even count. So it's as though I've just added 1 bead at the very, very end to add that on, that little one. Don't worry if this wiggles a little, it's easy to fix. There we go. And now I can just continue in my normal count of beads. So we'll pull that down, fill this gap here. Whoops, just got a bit caught in the thread. Where are we? Just pull that a little looser. There we go. Fill that gap. Fill the next gap. And the next. We do our even count style turnaround now. So a nice way to tell is 1, 2, 3 beads on a diagonal means we just need to add this one here. So I'll pick that up there. We'll do our even count. Can you do it can you do it with 2 needles? Yes, you could do it with 2 needles. I would assume I think we've actually done it with 2 needles in one of our kits. The Gemini bracelet, we've actually done it with 2 needles. And that would probably work very nicely, I would think, actually. It might be a little bit tricky because you might have to do like 2 odd count turns to get a little bit thinner. But it could be. I'd have to try that. So I'll turn back now. Let's go back to once we came. And I'm going to do my little turnaround with white beads again so that you can see where I'm doing these turns. So there we go. In there. And now if you have a look, see here at the top, we need to have a bead that's going to sit there, and we need to have a bead that's going to sit there. So if I just did a normal peyote turnaround, I'd only have 1 bead sitting here, but you can see I'm missing a whole row, right? So we're going to pick up 2 beads once more. Slide them into position. One's going to go one way, one will go the other way, and then we're going to go backwards on ourselves to step around. So through this, down this second hole, down the second hole of this bead, into the second hole of the previous row, and then also into the very next bead along. See that? So that very first black bead as well. Pull that tight. It gets it in position, and now we can just turn around again. See, we're coming out of this little black bead here. So I'll just turn around again, through that first little bead only. Pull that all the way through. And into here. Kaylee says, I missed the beginning of the video. Can you do even count? Yes, I did. My first little bit of tutorial was doing even count. So after the stream, if you want to, go back and watch the beginning, Kaylee, because I do the whole section in I show you how to do the whole thing in even count, and then I show you how to do the odd count. Hi to Smoffy as well, by the way, who says, Smoffy O'Leary says, I'm new. She says, hi, Bead Spider. Hi, Rebecca. She's greeting lots of people. She's over on YouTube. She said she'd seen us on Create and Craft TV, but this is the first time watching us on the live stream. So yeah, we can just continue this now in the odd count, but obviously you would want to do it in your larger size. You would follow the pattern, and you would end up with something like this. See? So there you go. You can see you've got your odd number of beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 21 beads wide, working in that same way. So it looks really, really good. Really, really easy to do that once you know how to do that turnaround. So the turnaround, obviously, we do have the diagrams which come included with the kit. So if you want to get the kit, you're more than welcome to, you'll get all of the diagrams and everything. But you know, it's up to you, which we do have it on offer. It's up to 15% off at the minute. So now that I've got this here, I'm going to show you how to do the base piece. This one's fun. This one's a good fun little piece to make. I really like making this. So basically the base piece is this little fella here, where we're sort of turning a circle into a square. Okay, so this is the piece that we're going to make next from our little design. So basically, with this little piece here, I'll get rid of that ticker in a second. With this little piece just here, the first thing that we're going to do is make ourselves this little inner ring of 8 beads. So see that in the light blue color? That's going to be our first little shape there. So first things first. Again, this one, you only need to use single thread. This one's okay if it's a little bit looser, because then when you attach it to your side piece, it'll give you a little bit more structure once you're ready, but you don't need to do it yet. Just use single thread. So whatever is a comfortable length for you in terms of this one, that's the size to go with. So if I just give myself probably 1.5 meters is enough. You can use a little bit more than that if you want to. I'm only going to do a short little demo on this so you get the gist, but I'm not going to use as much thread as I need to usually. So here we go. Now, so this is the shape that we're making here. First things first, we're going to make that little inner circle. So if I start with my needle and thread, let me just cut my needle off again. I don't need to make that little odd count piece anymore. Let's just take that needle off and put it onto my new thread. I'm going to show you the full assembly process, by the way, after all of this. What did I do with that thread? Did I drop it? Yes, I did. Here we go. So now, just like before, I'm going to just use my normal little piece here. Thread through that, and pull it tight. There we go. Just give myself a nice little bit there, and I'm going to thread on my 8 beads. Just here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So funnily enough, if you watched my tutorial last Friday, I made a load of shapes using peyote stitch. I'm kind of doing something very similar today, but with twin beads to make this little base piece. So now if I just slide this down, have I got 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 beads. I'm going to pass through them all again to create a circle. And then I'm going to tie a little knot. So pass through all of those little beads once more. I'm doing this in my hand. Obviously, I would suggest doing it on the bead mat, but do it in my hand means that you can see it a bit better. So if I pull that tight, I'll slide it. We don't need too much tail or anything for this particular piece, so just give yourself a nice comfortable amount that you'll be able to cut off for the tail. And now if I just tie these two threads together, you'll see that it will bring this into a nice circle. I'm going over and under twice, so it's going to become a surgeon's knot. See, it goes through twice. Pull that tight, and then as I give that a tug, it'll turn that little thing of beads into a nice little circle there. So I'll tie another knot, because you want to use a double knot. You don't want it to come undone, so it is important to have that nice and firm. There we go. You can even do it a third time if you want to, but I won't bother. And once we've got that, I'm going to just pass through a couple of beads just to get myself away from that little knot. If I can. One bead is enough. So pass around that circle. Pull tight. And so I want to come... How nice does that little star look? That little 8-bead star? You could probably make an earring with this. But anyway, I'm going to turn this now into our square. So the way that we do this, I'm going to just step outwards. So I'm coming from the inner side hole. My thread is exiting right down there in that little gap. Pass into that outer bead just there. There we go. So now I'm in the outside of the circle. So first things first, I'll pick up one twin bead and go into the next bead. But this is where it's a little bit different from what you might be expecting. So now I'm going to pick up my other color bead. I'm going to do all of these in another color. So here's a black bead. But what I'm actually going to do is pass this down, get it roughly into position. Doesn't need to be too in position yet. I'm going to pass through the second hole. See that? So I've added it on. I've gone through the first hole, slide it down, go into the second hole, and then through our next bead. So this is going to turn the bead sideways. See that? So this one sticks up, this one sits sideways. So I'll do another sticking up one. Like so. And now I want another sideways one. So I'll pick up another little black bead, slide it down, pass into the second hole, and then into the next little twin around. Pull it tight, get it in position, and there you'll see it's now sitting nice and diagonally like this. I'll fill the gap again with a white one standing on its end. Pick up another black one. I'll just do this quicker now. Hopefully you've got the gist. We'll do another sideways one. In position. Through that second hole. This little bead has a bit of a burr. So sometimes there can be a little bit of glass just sitting inside the hole. See, look, there you go. There was that tiny, tiny little piece of glass. That's just from the manufacturing process. You can just get your thread through and it'll come out. There we go. So this will be another sideways sitting little bead. Pull that tight as well. See, we're already starting to get our square shape happening, aren't we? It's looking good. I'm liking the look of this. Coming together nicely. There we go. And then the last one. Down there. And into the next bead. So to give ourselves a step up, I want to just make sure I'm coming out the first hole of one of my little black beads. So go into here, like so, and out of this little first hole just here. There we go. So this is how we step up. To start the next part of our shape, yeah, it's a little flower, says Kay. It looks nice, doesn't it? That's quite cute, I think. So now that I've got this, I'm ready to continue by adding my next few little beads. So it's quite a simple little process of what we do. Basically, we're going to just go round in circles, in circles, in circles. I need to have a sip of my tea. I think I've just realized I've got a lovely cup of tea that's going cold. Whoops-a-daisies. Got a bit of tea on my workspace. Okay, now that I'm sticking out of here, essentially what I need to do is add my next row of beads. So the way we're going to do this is by going from one little hole into the next. So I'm going to pick up, we're going to use the black ones sideways all the time. So if I just put that down there, see how I'm coming out of this side here? I'm going to weave to this next one just here. So this is going to be just here. This first one can be a little bit fiddly, but we're going to go down into this little bead here, which is going to sit sideways. But we also want to put one little bead into this gap. So I'll pick up a white one, which is going to just stand up, and pull that in there. And there we go. See that? So we have one sideways bead and one white one. And now I'm going to do the reverse. So one white one first, slide it down, and then I'm going to lock that into place with a sideways little black bead. So again, go down that black bead, get it into position, pass through the second hole, and down into our little black bead. See that? It looks a little bit twisted, but you'll see in a second it's going to sit in position nicely. So pull that all the way through. And then this should sit up there, and that's going to sit sideways beside it. See that? Now we'll go back up the next bead. And we're going to repeat the process again. So I'll pick up a black bead first. Get it nice and firm. Put that down there. Pass into the second hole. Plus a little white bead. Pull that gap through there. Pull down. And there, you can see now we've got 3 beads in total. So we've got a row of 1, then a row of 2, and we're sort of creating our little corner section as we go as well. So now I'll pick up a white one, put it in position, and then I'll do my little sideways black bead. So pick that up there. And through the second hole, and into the next black bead below. See that? Just make sure everything is in position, your thread's not caught anywhere, and give it a little tug to make it nice and firm. And we'll just continue passing around the circle. So we'll go up that bead just in the corner. There we go. Through that bead. Pick up one more. Slide it down into that other side of the bead, pick up a white one, and through that top hole here. So the same all the way around, all the way around, all the way around. Pull it firm so that it's sitting nicely. Get this tail out the way, and I'll do it again now. So white one, slide it down, black one, I'll use a different one, get that black one in position, down that second hole, and into the first hole of the next little black bead. See that? Pull it tight, make sure it's sitting nicely in position. And then I'm going to go up the second hole of that next bead. There we go. We're almost back. We're almost back. We've just got to do the same on these last two corners. And then I'll go a little bit wider. And then I'm going to sort of just jump ahead and go, look, now let's just do some assembly. Because I won't go through the whole process of this square. It takes a little while. This one's another one with a little clogged hole. So again, you can just use a little bit of pressure to just try and get that little bead clear. It's just a tiny little piece of glass just stuck inside there. Is it going to come out for me? There we go. Oh, am I going the right direction? No. Good thing I didn't do that. So pull that tight. Nicely in position. And down the second hole. Pick up a white one. Doesn't matter if it's not quite tight yet. Pick up a white one and into the top. And we're almost back in position now, back to the start. And then when we pull that tight, we can sort of pull on the white bead if we need to, pull on the black bead, give it a tug. There we go. And there's our next little one. Almost there. So we've just got to add our last little bead now. So we pick up one white one. Pop that down there. And our final little black bead into the second hole. And now make sure you don't accidentally go into the wrong bead. It's an easy mistake to make. We don't want to go into this bead. We want to go into the bottom bead there. See that? Into that bottom bead. Pull it all tight. Get it all firm. And not twisted. Very good. And now I will pass back up into this bead and into the very first one that I added in this step to step upwards. Now, essentially what you want to do is examine which side of the bead that you're currently coming out of, okay? So if we have a look, you can see I'm coming out of this side of the bead. So if I use my needle as my little pointing arrow, I'm coming out of this side of this little bead here. Get it in position. Coming out of this side of this bead. So that means I need to work in that direction. So away from the rest of this bead towards the next bead. So from here, I'm going to pick up one little bead, pass down into the next bead. We only need to go down into one. Pull that tight. There we go. And up the next bead. We've got ourselves fairly nicely in position here. So I can, again, I'll zoom out a bit so that we don't have that problem with the focus. Pick up one more bead. I'm not going to do the whole iteration of this corner. I'll just show you the gist so that you can see essentially what we're doing is creating more beads. So down the second, wait, I'll zoom out. Let's get that back in focus. So we're going down the second bead here and now into that white hole bead here. Pull this tight and let's add to our corner with a nice little white bead in that gap. Pull it tight. And that's going to continue our square shape, see? So I'll do just a couple more beads and then I'm going to move on to how to actually start assembling all of your bits into a single piece. So with this here now, I'm going to go down into the next black bead. So the black ones are always sideways, the white ones are always upright. There we go. Down into the next. Pick up another black one. So if you have a quick little look, you'll see we've done a row with one black bead. Then we've got a row of two black beads. And now we're going to add a row of three black beads. And we keep going until we have completed a row with 6 outer little sideways beads. So if I just show you what it will look like when it's finished, I'll just add one last bead so that you can see the full outer row being 3 beads wide. One last little black bead and then one last white one, and then you'll have the gist. That will do us, I think, before we move on. So I'll just pass into there, into this corner, pick up my little corner bead as well, into that gap. Don't let it get caught. There. See? So if you have a quick look, you can see the next one. There we are. We've got a little row of 1 bead, then there's 2 beads in this row, 3 beads in this row, and we're sort of working our corner outwards until eventually we will have this little fella here, which you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little beads on each outer edge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So basically, that's going to give us our final square shape. And I'm going to teach you how now to assemble this little fella into one single piece. So if you have plenty of thread left over, you can use this little tail piece as your connecting one. But basically, what we need to do is start attaching this to this little piece here. So first things first, when we have this piece, we're going to turn it into the walls of our piece by turning it into a loop. So if I just grab my needle and thread on this very last one, I'll show you how to stitch these two to each other to get that all sorted. So when we're doing even count peyote, once you've got your design completed, just slide that out of the way a bit. Once you've got your design complete, you can stitch one side directly to the other side. So if you have a look, these little ones will lock in. See, look, this one is on the outer side at the top. There's a gap at the top of this one. This one, there's a gap in the second one. The second one is sticking out. This one, the third one is sticking out. This one, the third one has a gap. Gap and a bead, gap and a bead, gap and a bead, and we're going to just fold it together and stitch through all of them to make that final join. So sticking out of this last little bead here, I'm going to just fold this over, and you'll see the two ends come together. If I keep my finger in the way, you'll see that they're going to just knit perfectly into this gap, and like I said, seamless pattern. See? So if I just pick that up, I know that this bead here, I'm exiting from this bead, it's going to go into this very top bead, but we're working downwards. So we're working from the top to the bottom here, we're working from the top to the bottom here, pick up that one bead there, and as I pull that tight, it'll just get caught on my work, obviously. Here we go. Just pull them together nice and tightly. Now, if I just hold this sideways, hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So I'll do it relatively loosely for now, just so that you can see the thread path. So I'm going from here to here. I'm exiting from the bottom of this one, so I'll go through the top through to the bottom of the next bead on the opposite side, pull that all the way through, and just continue as you go. Wait. Let me just get it nice and tight. It will tighten up and firm up much easier. I should have pulled my thread a bit tighter, locked that last bead in place. There we go. So I'll go into this bead over here. Pull that a little bit tighter as well. If I go through a few beads, I can pull them all tight at once. So I'll go into this one as well. And we're going to just keep going all the way down our work, stitching them, zipping them to each other. And eventually, as it all pulls nice and tight, it brings them together like that, see? So now I'll just pull my next one. If it's all separating, don't worry, it does come together at the end. It's definitely easier to do this flat on the table, but I'm trying to make it so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. Pull that there. Through the next one. Pull that up. Through the next. Back over to this side. Oh no. One of my beads has a clogged hole. Can I unclog him? Hope so. Didn't check that. It's the only bead I've come across with a clogged hole, and it's the one I need. How annoying. I might have to just skip that little fella. Somehow. That's really annoying. What a poop. See if I can just stab a hole into it. So yeah, this is why you need to check your holes of your beads. Some of them can be duds. I might have to go back and fix that one. Oh, well, whatever. I'll fix it later. Doesn't matter. So we would be stitching this one from the front hole, but because I can't access it, I'll have to go into the back hole. We'll pretend it's the front hole. So yeah, just check your holes. Always important to check the holes of your beads as you're progressing so that you don't have that problem, especially when you get to the end, because that is the worst place for it to be. Pull there. Into this one. Whoops, did I get myself a bit caught there? It's not going to work. Thanks. Down the next hole. We're almost got it all stitched now. The next one. I keep doing that. There we go. Get that over there. Stitch the last. I'm almost there. I'm almost all the way through. See, it's almost done. You could even turn this into a little bracelet if you wanted to. Through that last bead. Pull that, and now we're going to go back to the very beginning of our design, into the very, very, very first bead that was ever added. There it is. Pull that tight, and ta-da! There's one lovely fully finished piece right there now. There we go. And there's your join. Nicely stitched together. Looking very nice. You've got that one little bead there. There we go. And of course, if you want to, just to forget about our little stopper bead and fix that up, you can always weave back and forth into your thing. See, look, you'll see that this is nice and easy to weave back through. Oops. Just had my thread a bit caught there. Keep my tail out of the way as I do this. And that's going to make everything all the more firm as we work. So see, there we go. That's going to lock that little bead in. And if you wanted to, you could just keep going, keep going, keep going, weaving back and forth to make it super firm. So this is something, another good way. So remember how this one was a little bit floppy? See how this one's quite loose? This is the time you want this to be firm and solid so that it will sit upright beautifully. It will keep its shape nicely. But if you want to make it even firmer, now is the time to do it. You just weave back and forth through your beads. You can see, because you've got it already all done, it goes through quite nicely. But here's a trick that I will teach you, is that if you wanted to do this all the way along, well, actually, I'll show you with another piece in a minute, but we just go all the way through our piece, pulling it tight, getting it firm, making it look great, and getting that tension really, really firm. If you want to, this step is optional. Doesn't have to be done at all. If you don't want to do it, it's just if you feel that your tension could be a little bit better to make the walls of your beads a little bit more solid. Because obviously you need to have a nice solid edge to your box So this is the easiest way to do it. So, okay. Now, if I just move on, I'm going to forget about that for now. I'll just leave that, and I'm going to show you how we attach the base to this little piece here. So if this is our square, we're going to attach it to this to give it that nice square shape. So this is my working thread from my base piece. I'm going to use this to attach to these little pieces just here. So it's nice and easy to do. Again, the whole process, I've tried to make this as easy as possible. So what we'll do, and this isn't going to take too long, I'm only going to do it relatively quickly so that we can get through it, and then I'm going to show you how the lid is done as well. So I'm only going to do a little bit of time. So there we go. If I just do this little section now, I'll show you the gist of this little process, and then you can sort of see that, and then I'll move on and show you how we make our lid, box lid. So this is where we start needing some seed beads. See that? So we don't need many for this, just a few, but this is how we're going to join the two pieces to each other. So if I show you just here is the fully finished gold one, and you can see I've got this row of gold beads, seed beads in there, which help join them. So it's really easy. This is why we needed to have a number that's divisible by 4. So you know how I told you it was 28, which is 7 iterations of 4. So 4 divided by 7, 4 times 7 is 28. So if you have a look at this, basically that means you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a corner for the 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the corner makes the 7th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the corner makes the 7th. Hence, one lot of 7, so 6 and a corner, 6 and a corner, 6 and a corner, 6 and a corner, 4 lots of 7. Hence, you need 4 lots of 7 beads on your ring. So, if I just bring in my seed beads now, I'm exiting from any one of these edge side beads here. It doesn't matter which one at all, but basically what you need to make sure you're doing is working from one hole to the next, back and forth. So you'll see, if I pick up one bead just here, I can pass, and this is another opportunity to make your box even firmer if you want to, is if you pass from here. It doesn't matter where you choose, you can pick, just any bead will do, but basically you just pick a bead here on this side, and we're going to stitch them to each other. This is where we're going to begin. So pick up one, pass into the other side, so into this piece here. If you wanted to make it firmer at this point, you could even go up further here, but I'm not going to. I'll just pick that one up there, slide it side by side like this. The first couple are a little difficult. You'll soon see that it comes together nicely. So see that? There's that little bead joining. Pass into the other side of this same little twin bead here. It doesn't matter if it's not fully tight yet. I'm doing that so that you can see it. Obviously, it's better if you've got this already tight. I just want you to see exactly what I'm doing. Pick up my next seed bead, and I'm going to pass down into the second side of this same twin. So you can see I'm aligning the two twins with one another so that this hole is joined to this hole and this hole is joined to this hole. So I'll pass into this bead here and the bead below, because it's way easier to turn in the middle of a bead than beside them. So pull, 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 and that's going to join those two beads to each other. See that? They're nicely joined. And then we can just move along to our next little bead. So we go up there, into this, pull it tight, pick up a seed bead, and into the next one. There we go. Then we'll continue. So I'm going to go across and down into the next bead. The other side of the same bead, sorry. Pull that tight. See, if you just keep pulling it tight every now and again, it will tighten everything before. And we'll go now into the opposite hole on our square side. Just keep going. See that? See those little beads now joining? I'm keeping it loose so that you can see approximately what I'm doing, but obviously it's better if you try and keep this as nice and firm as possible. Go down into the twin bead below, because this is going to allow us to do our turnaround. Just pull it all the way through. There we go. Don't let your thread get all caught, like I almost did. And keep pulling. Just keep pulling. Just keep pulling. Obviously, the first few iterations of this can be a little bit annoying because it's all trying to get caught, but also it's extra difficult when you're trying to show a camera. So you'll probably find that this is easier than I'm making it look, just because I want you guys to be able to see it as clearly as possible. So I'm holding it in such a way that you can see, but obviously it would be much easier if you hold it rather than down here, but up here, closer to your face where you can actually see what you're doing. Pick up a bead. We'll go into this one here. Turn around. Pull that through. Oops, a bit high up, sorry. And now passing down into this one. And we're going to go around the corner now. So I'll go down into this bead. Just here. Pull that tight. Like so. And then we're going to go around the corner. So to give ourselves space to actually allow our box to turn the corner. Once I get through these two little beads here, there we go. Through here, through there. Pull that through. Irina says, would this work without seed beads? It might, but I think you'll find that they're not going to sit so nicely one on top of the other. Because see how you'll probably see thread coming through all the time, where if you do this nice and tightly, which you'll soon see in a minute how much nicer it is definitely better to give it that little bit of seed bead spacing. So anyway, now what we're going to do, remember how I said we need 7? We're going to skip this next bead. So at the corner, we skip 1 bead, okay? So we pick up our next seed bead, we skip this, and this is going to create a corner on that bead. So if I pick this one up here, I can go into that gap there, and this is what creates our little corner shape, if my thread doesn't get caught, which it will, of course. There we go. There we go. See that? That's going to sit there nicely in that corner. See? Really, really neat if we do that, which is another point on why we want to use the seed beads. It gives us the spacing to have that little bit of corner there. So now I'll pass into the other side of my work. Pull that tight. Pick up a seed bead. And you can already see it's becoming much easier for me to hold it. Pass into there and the following bead. Pull that tight. Try not to get my seed bead twisted. There we go. And pull tight. See, it's coming together. Slowly but surely, it is stitching together. If they're a little loose, don't worry. You'll just keep tightening as you pull every time. Grab the next seed bead. And we're going to just go all the way around. I'm not going to bother showing you the whole way because you don't need to see the whole way. But that is how you would do the attachment all the way around, is just make sure you stitch one to the next, to the next, to the next, bead to bead, to bead to bead, until eventually the whole thing is joined. So just pull tight. Essentially, when you get to the corner, it helps to lock everything in place and it will tighten. There we we go. Obviously, this would also be much easier if I'd cut off all of my tail threads and stuff. So see all these threads down here? This is because I didn't finish them off. Before you start this process, weave off every single other thread. It's way easier to do this without any of those beads in the way. But yeah, I'll just keep going a little bit longer. It gets easier and easier and easier, this process, because as more and more of it gets attached, the more firm it stays, the better it looks, all of that sort of stuff. So let's just keep going a few more little iterations. Into the next. Because I will do the corner once more. I'll get myself to the point where I do the corner once more so you can see it. Keep going. Oop, and the bead extra. There we go. So we go through 2 beads on this one so we can do our turnaround. So pull that there. And down the next bead, up that one there. See, that's how we get from one bead to the next, is by using the bead below. There we go, into that one. Pull that tight too. Whoops. And just keep on stitching, keep on stitching. Much like Dory from Finding Nemo. Just keep stitching, just keep stitching. See, just as long as you just keep going, keeping it tight as you go. Of course, this would look better if I'd used the thread colour that comes with the kit, the green. And I'm almost at my next corner, because I'm going to finish after that next corner, because you'll have a good gist of how it should start looking. So close, nearly at that corner. Pass down into the next bead. I'll zoom out a little. Hopefully it'll... through that one there. Ah, there we are. The last little iteration, and then we can go around and do our next corner, and then that will probably be enough, and then I'll show you the stitching for the top of our lid, which is quite similar to what we're doing here, but a slightly more complex version. Just get that thread caught. There we go. So you can see it's all starting to stitch up now. The more you do, the better it looks. Just keep on going, persisting. So I'll go through that one there, across my corner. I'll go partway corner, because obviously doing it in one go would be very difficult because the beads are out of angle with one another. There we go, ready, and then pull that tight. You can see that's starting to stitch together quite nicely now, see? It's all coming together. Colleen says, darn it, Matthew, now I'm singing it. Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. Here we go. So there, I'm now coming out of this one. Don't forget, now we're at the corner. We skip a bead. Skip a bead on our outer edge. Pick up a seed bead. Skip that next twin. And go down the one below. The beside, sorry. Pull that through. Pull that tight, and then you'll see that bead is going to sit nicely in that nice corner little gap. And then you can just continue on doing your next corner, your next edge, which I'm going to stop now. But you'll see, when I just hold this up, that your little edge there, see that? You're attaching the base to the top, and it does come together quite nicely. It's going to sort of start a bit more like this. See, look how nice that corner shape is. There's that corner coming together, cornucopia. And there you go. See, you just got to keep going. Just keep persisting, and eventually it will all stitch together and look really, really good once you've got to the end. So obviously, I'm not going to bother doing this on the stream. You've got the gist of that now. Just keep adding beads, stitch, 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 skip one, stitch, 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 skip one, stitch, 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 done. That's how you make the base. So it will give you a lovely solid base when it's all finished. Should look nicely in position like this. Obviously it looks a little bit loose, but this pulls it nicely into tightness to match the two sizes, and then you end up with your lovely finished base. See? So if I now continue, I'll show you how we stitch the lids piece together. So this is quite similar, but there is a minor change. Oh, and this is another thing. You know how I've been saying that if you go through it, it makes it much firmer? So if you have a look, see how nice and firm this is? That's because I went through this side and reinforced it. Now let me show you the difference on the side where it's just had single thread and hasn't been reinforced. See that? It's way floppier, way looser. This is loose tension. This is a much firmer tension. This sort of tension gives you a floppy box. This sort of tension gives you a lovely firm lid. See that? Holds its shape, looks really good. This is pretty much the same stitching process as what we're going to do now. So I'll show you how we do that. So when we've got ourselves our little beads, so we need to create a couple of these. They're 8 beads long. So these are made with odd count, these two pieces, which stitch to the sides of our little top bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And same on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we have 4 beads sticking out on each end. This is what we're after. So now that we can continue, I will use just one. I'm going to just do one at a time. I'll do the other ones later. And I'm going to attach it to this side here. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to reinforce this side just to make it a little bit firmer, just to show you guys the difference. And then hopefully we can finish off. So I'm going to just stitch those last few bits together. Where's my thread needle gone? Mr. Needle, there you are. So yeah, I'll just tighten this up a little more so that it isn't going to be a problemo. And I'll get rid of this. Well, I'll leave that for now, but obviously, see, look, ready? See how loose and floppy this was? If we just pass through it all, it doesn't take long. Just pass, you know, through the beads, through the next one, and the next. Pull those tight. Then through the next, through the next, through the next. Just keep going. You can do quite a few beads in a go. Now, because this is odd count, you'll get to one end and you'll go, oh, how do I go forwards from here? Don't bother. Just do it as though it was even count. So if you have a look here, see this how I'm at the end? I could go into this bead as well, but that's going to take me in this direction. I want to keep going in this direction, so I'm going to just do it one bead short. Doesn't matter if one bead is a little bit looser than the others. This edgemost bead, because it's much tighter in general. So just go through that, pull that tight. And you know how floppy that was just a minute ago? You're about to see how much firmer that one little process makes that row of beads. Up into there. And in that last little bead. Come on now. There we go. Look, so now it's way firmer. Way firmer. See, look, the whole thing moves as one rather than this big floppy thing. We can just firm it all back up. I'm going to firm this last bead in as well. So I'll even go back and do it once more. Should have done it while I was there at the other end. Oh well. Come back through. This is going to make it even nicer and firmer. So you can do more beads if you want to. Two works quite nicely, I find. But you can do more than that at once, probably, you know, 4 or 5 even, if you just position it straight. But I find that if you do too many, getting the needle to come out the other end can be a little trickier, because it's got to go through more beads, so it can be a little stiffer. But here we go, just get that nicely there, pull that through, almost at the end, and this is going to be super duper firm now compared to when we first saw it, when it was terrible. And I'm going to just join these 2 beads to each other, just because this last one, this is why it's not ideal. I don't like seeing it on the edges, but for the very last bead and the very first bead, you don't have a choice. You just have to grin and bear it. So I'm going to stitch these 2 together. Just pop that in place, and I'm going to pass down that bead just there to make sure it sits in position. In fact, I'll even go around it twice. There we go. Now it's not going anywhere, is it? Locked in. And then, yeah, I'm going to just weave through a few beads, get my thread out the way. There we go. And yeah, look how firm that is now. Moves as one single piece. So this one, it looks like a rectangle. It's going to become a square base, a square lid. So if you have a look, see, it's relatively square, maybe slightly rectangular, but once we add our 2 sides on, which is what I've done here and here, it becomes much more square shaped. So you can see there's like that inner rectangle, the thin section, and this outer pieces here are what give it the squarer shape. See? So, to attach the 2 pieces together, now, what I will do is take my breath away. No, wrong movie. Here we go. So I've got this little piece here. When you've finished, you will have a thread coming from, ideally where you want it to be coming from, is from your contrast color, and it will be facing inside. I'd love it to be facing on the outside, but it's just not possible. So it's always going to be facing the inside, so we have to just work with that, but it's easy. It just takes one extra little iteration to sort that out, but it isn't going to be a problem of any shape. So if I just start attaching, this is going to be quite similar to what we did just a second ago. It's just the starting process that's a little different. Let me just get this thread on. Let me bite it. So this little side part, it's eight beads along the top and 7 beads high. So if you have a look, just here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 beads. Hence why we've got 4 at the end and 3 inners. Okay, so we're going to use some seed beads again to do this little part. And if you have a look, essentially what we're doing is attaching this piece to here. And then we're going to sort of bring it all up, attach these beads in the same way that we did on the top of, at the bottom of our box to this side. And then we're going to bend this over and attach these to this side. So exiting from this bottom contrast bead towards the inside. See, from here towards the inside, I'm going to pick up one little bead. So see this? Here we are, one little bead. I'm going to turn this over so I can work a little bit more easily for myself. There we go. So I'm going to pick up one bead and I'm going to join these two twins to each other. See, like so? And basically what we're doing is adding a join that's going to sit between these little beads. So see this? We want it to sit approximately like this. So this twin is going to sit between this twin and this twin. These two endmost twins, this one's going to sit there. This is going to attach to that little corner and sit like that. So what we're doing now, we're exiting from this side of this twin. So we'll pass into this side here of this twin. We'll go down into the bead beside. We'll pull it all the way through. And so that's going to bring them kind of close to each other. And now I'm going to jump across and end up coming back towards where I started from this bead here. Pull that there. And I'm going to lock that bead in to this little twin bead by passing through it once more. So this is going to lock that bead in place. Just nicely, if I can get it there. There we go. Into that little bead. Just the one. Come on now. There we are. So back just into the twin bead. And it's going to bring it between those two little beads, as I said. So it's going to sit, once I pull it tight, see that? So it's going to sit in that gap. See? So it'll sit there. Once I've got things a bit tighter, you'll soon see. So I'm going to go back through this now in the same direction. But because this bit isn't attached, I want to attach these to here as well. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to work in the other direction to attach it all together to this last bead. So see this one here? I'm going to go the other direction. Don't worry if there's a little bit of thread showing. It's going to go in a minute. So through that seed bead, and we're going towards our outer edge. We just have to do one little loop on this outer edge. This is because we couldn't get through that nice bead that we wanted to be through earlier. So we're just going to make sure that they are attached to one another. So I'm going to pass into that end hole. See that? So I'm joining this little end bead to that little end bead. I'm going to pull that tight. And now I can weave around and I can continue along. It's a bit around the housey, but it means that you get everything done and dusted, and you don't have to bring in a new thread. You don't have to try and figure out some way to have your thread exiting from here. None of that. It's much, much easier to do it like this. And now I can just go straight into that bead there. It's all going to be nicely in position, and now it's much, much easier. So this is the initial attach, which was a little bit faffy, but it gets us there to where we need to be. So now I'm going to pick up one seed bead, and this is where it gets really simple now. So I'll go into this one seed bead, and see how I've got a twin here and a twin here? I want this next twin to align in that gap. So I'll pick up one seed bead, pass through the next twin, and then into the first hole of the one side I want it to go into. Pull it all the way through. Go back to where we were, to the other bead. So we're coming out of the second hole of our other bead. So it's like we're doing a little loop now around that twin. So now we'll just pass into that twin, and that's going to lock that twin nicely between those two beads. See? See how it's now between that green bead and that blue bead? Very nice. That's where we want it to be. And we're going to go one like this into here, And because we want this one to sit kind of between here and here, we need to pass into this gap, but this is why we need to be a little careful here, because we are going to be doing that same method to stitch these beads to each other like we did just before. I have to make sure to remember to add that one other little bead right there on the corner to make sure that everything is going to fit the way I want it to. So see this? I've added that one seed bead there. I've passed into this one here, and now, because of the way that I'm going to be attaching, I'll pass into this one. I'll pick up a seed bead first, then pass into the next twin. I'll go down the twin beside it to go backwards so that I can make sure I attach that corner, that little twin, to that little corner spot where I want it to be. Up the bead beside, into there. Whoops, almost caught. Catch it round into that little twin bead, so back into that twin, and then in through that seed bead and into our little lid base bit. So it's a little bit round the housey at the beginning, but once you know what you're doing, which obviously we do have the full instructions with the kit there, now all I've got to do is stitch it in the exact same way that I was doing just before. So I'll go the next bead here, pick up a seed bead, and into the corresponding hole of that twin that we're attaching from. See there? So we go down there, pull that tight. We want to go down into the next bead so that we can edge along as well. So we'll go through there and back up this little bead here to bring us into our next twin bead, which, if I can just, there we go, push my needle through it. When we pull this tight, we're going to pull that into position, and it's going to sit against this next twin bead, see? And that's going to give us this corner shape quite quickly. So just now into this bead here. You might have to like sort of bend your this piece sort of into the right shape. It will start taking the right shape soon, but pull that nicely into there. I'm going to pass back across and see where that little twin bead was just before. I'll pull all the way nice and tight. Now don't forget guys, if you want to go and get the kit, it is 15% off when you buy any 3 or more. There's 4 different lid designs, which is why we've called it our house of cards, because we've got a club, we've got a spade, we've got a heart, and we've got a diamond. So if you want to get all 4 designs, choose the any 3 for kit, any 3 for whatever it is, and you can get 15% off any 3 or more. So if you want to get all 4 colorways, you can do that. I already see that the stock on the purple is quite limited. I think we're down to not very many actually. There's probably only maybe about 20 left on that purple color, so not many. If you want to get the purple one, get in quick so that they don't run out. Of course, the other colors will be hopefully enough stock. Looks like the black and white actually is selling quite nicely as well. If you want to get the black and white, you'll need to potentially be quick on that too. There we go, just keep going now and just make sure I'm in the right spot. Yep, pull that through. And we're going to just keep going. But yeah, so go check out the kit if you want. The link is there in the description. The pattern will be coming if you want to just get the pattern. But obviously, the kit includes all the beads. We've used those really lovely precision twins and whatnot. So they are excellent quality beads that you'll be getting. Because it uses quite a lot of these little beads, there's quite a few that you're getting in there. So if you're going to actually buy the beads individually, I think you need about nearly 40 grams of one color and about 30 grams of the other color, pretty much. So it's a lot of beads that you're going to get with your little kit. So we're going to make sure that you've got everything that you need. Plus we color match it all for you as well. Here we go. Let's just keep going. You'll soon see it's going to stitch together very, very nicely, very, very quickly. Hi from someone who's in Texas. It says Distorted Lins. So I've no idea what your first name actually is. I assume it's not Distorted. That would be a very odd first name indeed. But hey, if it is, my apologies. But thanks for joining us. She says she's in Texas. Or he, she, he. Don't know. Can't see the profile picture. They are in Texas. All right. So I can just keep going in this same way that we did our box edge, the base of our box, stitching it together quite nicely, quite quickly. And then I'll show you how to do the second part of our little edge bit, and then we are done and we are dusted and I'm finished, and I'm going to just tell you about some stuff that's going on in our Facebook group, like a competition that we're running, which obviously there's a couple of weeks left, maybe two weeks left or so left on the competition. But so I will tell you about the competition we're running on our little bead group. I think, well, I say little, it's got about 24,000 people now, 25,000, quite a few. But yeah, I will tell you about that in a minute. Let's just get to the end of this just here. I'm almost there. You can see it's coming together quickly enough. We just keep stitching the little bits together. Man. See, look, it's you can see it's stitching nicely, stitching together quite nicely. Missed one, through the next one, and we're almost at the end now, so we're going to continue sort of making our matching opposite side. So it's kind of working in the opposite direction, making loop after loop after loop to join the two sides to each other. I'll just go up, make the final attachment to this little piece just here. Here we are. Go one bead there, one bead on the way back, and now we're pretty much just going to do the exact same thing that we've just done on the other side, but in reverse. So from here, see that? We want to attach this little bead directly to be sitting as though it were in this gap. So we go from here back to where we were, just to make sure that that's getting attached. Come back to where we've just come through. See that? There we go. That makes that nice little corner bit. And then I'll pass down into here, down into this twin. Going to fill this gap. We're very, very close to the end now. Fill that little gap there. And just like before, you know how we want to get this fitting nicely in this gap? We go down the further twin and the bead below it. So just keep that thread out the way so you can see. We want this twin to sit between this gap. So we go through there, pull that all the way in so that it bends that shape nicely into position. Back up. Oops. And into just the twin bead now. So we've created like a little loop around that twin bead. Pull that tight. Add one little seed bead into this gap. Into the next twin. Now, because we want to get this twin sitting between these two, we're going to pass down into this little end bead. Plus the one beside it. I should have got rid of this tail thread. Oh well. Afterwards. So I'm coming, where am I now? I'm coming through this little bead here. So I'll go through the bead below, which will allow me to do my turnaround. Sorry about the thread mess. I should have got rid of that tail thread. I knew I should have. I was thinking about it, being like, I better get rid of that tail thread, but I didn't do it. So now we go back up into the latter hole of that one there, which means we can then attach directly to the twin that we were just using, pull it tight to get it nice and close, get all these other threads out of the way, and into that twin, and then we'll just do that last little connection, one more little bead through there, pull that tight to close this little corner up into that corner, which will pull nicely in, and then we can just go directly into this bead here, back up here, and we'll go through both beads, so the seed bead and the twin bead. And then you see, ta-da! Now we have a completely finished corner. See, there we go. You can see that's going to give us our first little edge of our lid, which is looking nice. And then when we do the same on the opposite side, it's going to give us the second lovely little edge, which will make it turn from this into this. Beautiful. So that then, or if you've got the gold one, see, this is what happens if you don't do the extra strengthening of your beadwork. You get a floppy box, but if you do it firmer, you get a much firmer lid, which then just pops straight on top of your box. And if your box is looking good, it sits on there just nicely as well. See, there you go. You've got your base, you've got your sides, you've got your box lid, everything. It's all about having a super firm tension with this one. So do everything you can to get it as firm as you can so that you don't have a floppy one like this, so that you have a lovely firm one like this. This is the difference between good tension and loose tension. My first one, loose tension, my bad. My later one, firm tension. Looks good, right? Makes a big difference. But essentially, it's the key to this design. So essentially, I'm going to finish stitching this off on my own time later. Not now, not during the stream. I'm going to finish this after the stream. And then I'll get this box all finished up. But this one here is the turquoise. I think it was called Tempting Turquoise. I'll show you it on the website, actually. That's the better option, isn't it? So let's just pop on over and have a look at the website really quickly. So I'll show you the 4 different colorways in the flesh. So this one is the turquoise. This one is the Make Your Mauve. Good pun. This one is the Heart of Gold, and then this one is the Black Magic, which I think looks really nice. Each one comes with a different design. So if you click the link in the description, one of the links will take you to the homepage of our website, which looks like this. Here we are. Here is the homepage of our website today. Obviously, each kit makes one box. So you've got this one here. If you want to watch today's tutorial, you can click on this big button right here. This little box just there. This will take you to the page where you can watch this video. It will be on the homepage for the next month or so. So easy to find if you want to. Much like if you wanted to view our previous streams. Here's last Friday's stream. Here's the Friday before that. Here's the one before that, and so forth. But if you want to get the products from today, if you want to make your own, see here, view all related products, else up here in the kits and tutorials menu. If you come down to video tutorial related products, from the video tutorials section here, this will take you to our entire library of video tutorials. There's about 150, maybe 200 now. This one here is where you can find all of the kits and related things. So I'll click on that. There you go. The House of Cards Beaded Box. If you want to find that one, you can get any 3 15% off. Any 3 or more, 15% off. So there they are. That's that one there. So if you click on this one, you will get 15% off, and you also get all 4 playing card theme lid patterns. So the club, the spade, the heart, and the diamond. This, if you are brand new and have never subscribed, is you can sign up to our newsletter and you get £5 voucher for our beading patterns. But I'll tell you more about that later. But anyway, here's the mauve. Here's the one I've been demonstrating with, the tempting turquoise. There's the black and white black magic, heart of gold. Or click on this one here. It will take you to the place where you can choose the ones that you want, and you'll get all 4 patterns. So even if you only get 3, we will make sure you get all 4 patterns. So you can say, do you know what? I want to make 2 gold ones and a purple one. You add it to your cart. Down here from this button, you get your 15% off discount. So a nice little saving there. Very, very good for our introductory first week. And then you will get the heart and the spade and the diamond and the club pattern. Obviously, our kits include full instructions, so you get all the diagrams to take you through the entire process from beginning to end about the whole design. So every last little bit is covered on how to make the odd count peyote top bit, how to do it with its pattern, how to make these little edge bits as well, of course. You'll learn how to make the even count peyote pattern there too. Plus, you'll also learn how to make that little base which is in the middle there. So all of that is covered, plus the assembly and the bonus patterns if you're getting the 15% discount. But yeah, so that is pretty much everything from today's tutorial. As I promised, I said I would tell you our bead group, we are running our competition on there as well, which it's called the Stars of Bollywood. So we've got some really, really lovely designs that have already been commented in. Essentially, if you go to our Facebook group, which there is a link if you're on Facebook, the link is up above. If you're on YouTube, the link is down below. You can open that up and go to the Bead Spider Facebook group. Check it out on there, and from there you'll be able to find the post that has this photograph, Stars of Bollywood beading competition. We have it pinned to the very, very top, and then you can post your pictures of whatever makes you think Stars of Bollywood. It's all there for you to have a little look at and do whatever you fancy. I think I do have, that's why, I think I can show you the bead group from here, actually. Yes, so the link, if you type it in, www.facebook.com/groups/Bead Spider, will take you to our group, which looks like this. Here's the Facebook group. So it's called Jewelry Making, Bead Patterns, Tutorials and More by Bead Spider. 24,500 members. If you scroll on down right here at the top, featured. There's our Stars of Bollywood competition. You can click on that. If you click on that one just there, it will take you, supposedly, to the page where you can read the details. So lights, camera, action. It's time for the first Bead Spider group members beading competition, because it's exclusive to the members of our group. This time, Stars of Bollywood take inspiration from the glitz, glamour, music, and 1,000 dancers to make your beaded object or piece of jewelry. The rich and vibrant colors of India are sure to entice. Think spices, sunsets, flowers. Your jewelry may be influenced by your favorite Bollywood stars or the ornate jewelry showcased in the films. The choice is yours. So to enter the competition, scroll on down, and much like Jill just here has, along with Suzanne, Amy, lots and lots of people have, I think we've got quite a few entries in there, just post your pictures inside here. Yeah, look, there's even more. So just come on down to the bottom, put a comment in, post your picture and give us a little bit of information about how you think it fits this Stars of Bollywood theme. Obviously, if you've made today's tutorial as well, if I just go back to the main page of the group, you can come on down here and you're more than welcome to post pictures of the gorgeous things that you've made, because we share this little community. This is a lovely little community where people show the sorts of things that they've been making, what they've been getting up to, what they've been doing. See, there it is. There's the Stars of Bollywood's thing, which people have been entering into. Gives you some ideas. We also have in here, see this thing on the right where it says Throwback Thursday, Tutorial Tuesday, and My Jewellery Journey. Just over here on the right. Actually, I should wait. If I've just realized my mouse isn't showing. If I just fade over, here we go. Now you can see my mouse. Yeah, see over here, Throwback Thursday, Tutorial Tuesday, My Jewellery Journey. If you click on one of these, for example, on the Thursday one, it will take you to where you can see all of the free the 3 videos that we have been putting on here. So the throwbacks to our live tutorials, there's lots of videos on here you can go and watch that are from our YouTube channel. Otherwise, if you go with the Tutorial Tuesday, or just click the Files button up here at the top, it will take you to where you can get all these free patterns. There's quite a few free patterns that you can go and just download straight away, no strings attached, just go and get them. They're there for you to experiment with, but of course we want you to post your pictures and so forth. But yeah, so that's pretty much everything for today. Done and dusted with the box. We've got lots of stock, so if you want to get any 3, I say we've got lots of stock. The mauve is already low in stock, I can see. The black is doing well as well. I hope you really liked the... Tell me, which one was your favorite color of the ones that you've seen? The mauve, the black and white, which I think goes really nicely. The gold is a really nice box as well. The color I think is beautiful. That goldy tone, which is this one here, nice goldy box as well. Then yeah, tell me, comment down below which ones you liked. Also tell me the sorts of things that you would like to see in future tutorials. Comment down below, like, share, subscribe to our channel, all of that jazz. You know the deal by now. That's it from me for this weekend. I hope you've had lots of fun. A big thank you to all of the people who've been watching. I see Jan Alston's only just arrived. She's a bit late. We've got Irina. She says, thanks, that was great. We also have Evelyn, who says, this has been fun. Matthew, you're an excellent teacher. Thank you. Who else have we got? Trey Bit, which is Colleen, I think, is still here. Kay has left just recently. She had to go to bed. I think it's very late for her in Australia. Oh, I just realized I still got that up. But yeah, so if you had fun watching today's tutorial, please do subscribe, share, and all of that. I will see you once again next Friday. So come back. I will be back here again next Friday for another live tutorial. So be sure to join me then. I hope you have a lovely weekend and a lovely week until I join you all next week, same time, which is 3 p.m. UK time every Friday. So if you're in the East Coast, I think that's about 10 a.m. of the US, East Coast US 10 a.m., 7 a.m. on the West Coast. In Australia, it's probably, I don't know, 1 in the morning maybe. Could be quite late. I know we do have some dedicated Australians who thank you very much for watching. But yeah, I'll see you all then. Have a lovely weekend. Talk to you later. Have fun beading, and see you later. Bye-bye.